This is Up Close. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. Women's advancement is a major goal for many, and we're now seeing a new generation of women as CEOs of at least a few of America's largest companies. Exemplifying two very different approaches to getting to the top of the corporate ladder at two companies that are quite different from each other are GM's Mary Barra and Yahoo's Marissa Mayer. Barra's story is told by Bloomberg News reporter-at-large Laura Colby in Road to Power, how GM's Mary Barra shattered the glass ceiling. And then, Silicon Valley's most prominent female CEO is profiled by Business Insider's Nicholas Carlson in Marissa Mayer and the Fight to Save Yahoo. But first, here's my interview with Laura Colby about the culture at GM that let Mary Barra rise to the top. Why is it such a big deal that we have a CEO of General Motors who's a woman?
General Motors has often been considered a proxy for the American economy. I don't know if that is still the case these days, but having a woman lead a company like that has such a long and rich history is really a barrier-breaking thing, as opposed to a smaller company, a more entrepreneurial company. This is a big pillar of corporate America.
And you cover a lot of issues relating to women in the workplace, women in corporate America. How different is it to have a woman CEO, to have women in top executive leadership in a major corporation in the United States?
Some of the studies show that women who are, when companies are led by women, they will have better results, better financial results. And there are a whole bunch of different explanations for that. But one of the biggest ones is that they tend to avoid the sort of groupthink that you get when you have an all-male boardroom, an all-male CEO suite.
So how did she get there? It seems it's not the most straightforward path, and it's something that involved really changing GM's corporate culture.
Yeah, well, that's what intrigued me about doing and made me want to do this book in the first place. How did she get there? And it really is one of the great sort of American success stories, if you will, because a lot of times you'll see women who succeed, they may have had sort of a leg up some way or another. Maybe they're by birth or by, connections or something like that. But she's really, she's a working class, comes from a working class family. Her father was a die maker at GM, so she didn't come from a wealthy family. She didn't come from a very highly educated family. Her parents didn't go to college. And so she really, she pulled herself up on her own bootstraps through smarts, through working hard, and very importantly, for the company having a whole suite of programs and metrics about getting women into the management ranks.
To the degree that she was able to get herself to the top and use all these various resources and systems and support and to help get her there, were there various points where it seemed like she was being treated differently as a woman?
She wouldn't call it this discrimination, but working as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old in the factory, there was a lot of sexual harassment. There were people whistling when you walked into the factory. It wasn't just her; it was any young woman who was embarking on that career. So that must have been pretty tough. I don't think she got actual special treatment for being female, going up through the ranks. I think really what she got is sort of the ability to be treated the way a talented man would be treated, and that was a big breakthrough.
And now Yahoo's CEO Marissa Mayer, as explained by Nicholas Carlson. So we hear a lot about Marissa Mayer and the takeover at Yahoo, and I think the degree to which even she's struggling is something that most people just don't even know about, right? That there's just this idea that there's this very successful person who's been very successful in the past, moving into a very high position, and that's all you need to know. But is that all you need to know?
No, there's more to it than that. I mean, for sure. I mean, I started with this. The reason I was interested is because Yahoo is like it's a corporate Game of Thrones. Over the many years it's been around, about 20 years now, and it had like these soaring high heights, and then it went down right at the dot-com bubble, and then it came back, and CEOs got fired, and then all of a sudden here comes this Marissa Mayer, who's this amazing person from Google, and the book is like, how does she do when she gets there? And I think the answer is that it's a lot harder than you would think.
One of the things that's really striking about her rise, in contrast with some other women CEOs at some other companies, is that you realize you need to tell the story of the whole company in order to put the CEO there when they get there. And in other firms where there have been women CEOs who've risen through the ranks and been part of a corporate culture that was about making sure there were women moving up the ranks, you get one kind of story of the company. Right. But in this story of the company, other than until you get to Marissa Mayer, most of the story is about men.
Right.
Right? Yeah. A really large chunk, men running this company. Yeah. And there's no attention paid at any point, really, to saying, oh, let's make sure there are women doing well in our company.
I mean, I think kind of what you're getting at is that Mayer was not brought in because there was no thought about her gender really at all when she kind of came in, what they brought her in for. They brought her in because she was the people who brought her in, there's two board members really responsible for this. Dan Loeb, both of them are no longer on the board. Dan Loeb and Michael Wolff. They brought her in because she reminded them of Mark Zuckerberg or Larry Page. She's someone who grew up on the internet professionally. She's a web native is the term they would use. She came in and really understood, unlike Yahoo CEOs in the past, how email and search and all these things worked and what users really wanted out of them. One
of the reasons why books like this are important and journalism like this is important is for what it reveals about the whole idea of corporate structure and corporate leadership, where I often say actually one of the most important pieces of business journalism in our culture today is Undercover Boss, that TV show, which just because it reveals very plainly that all these CEOs are not Ubermenschen. They are not capable of anything. They are not, in all likelihood, doing the kind of work that actually merits their being lauded in the way that they are. They're regular people, and they have oftentimes about half the job is something they really just can't do. Like in Marissa Mayer's case, handling, you said she couldn't handle the business side, the kind of the advertising side. You just spoke about Terry Semel, who couldn't even write an email. And there seems to constantly be this person who really can't come close to doing it all.
Right. Well, and that's why it's so important to hire a team around you that's really capable and sort of fills in, backfills for you and what you can't do. And I think if you're going to talk about one of the things that just a headline of what Marissa Mayer did wrong at Yahoo so far. And she's done a few things right, but one of the big things she did wrong is she came into the company without having a lot of experience running the advertising side of the business. In fact, she had zero experience at Google doing that. She just wasn't something she was ever concerned with. And she went out and hired this man named Enrique de Castro, and it was just a disaster of a hire. Even she it lasted 14 months, and then he walked away with $109 million. So it was just a big, big mistake. And there's scenes in the book where she actually presents this idea of hiring him to the board of trustees, and they're like, well, shouldn't we vet him? And actually, De Castro pressured Mayer, and Mayer pressured the board to have no vetting because it'd be bad for his career. That was one of the surprising sort of elements. And it's and then over and over, this mistake that Mayer makes is that when she hires people, she tends to allow someone to come to her and say, hey, I really want to work for you, and I really want to work for Yahoo. Instead of she has this global business celebrity that she could have gone out and hired the best people if she wanted to, but instead she sort of allowed people to come to her.
That's all for this week's abbreviated web episode of Up Close. A reminder, you can see the full episode of Up Close on the Jewish channel on cable, or listen to the full audio of the show as a podcast available on iTunes and your favorite podcast player. The Jewish channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 1640, IOPLING Channel 505, RCN Channel 268, Cox Cable Channel 1, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, and on Comcast on the on-demand menu on premium channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.